Have you ever harvested garlic and ended up with tiny little bulbs instead of the big beautiful ones you were hoping for? The truth is, growing garlic isn't difficult at all, but timing is critical. If you plant too early, harvest too late, miss a few key steps, your plants may suffer. The good news is that once you understand the garlic's natural growth cycle, everything else will start to make sense. So let's start at the beginning. Before you do anything, you have to understand that there's two different types of garlic. There's a softneck and a hardneck variety. If you garden in a more cooler climate, then you'll probably heard that hardneck is better suited. That's because it evolved in regions with cold winters and generally performs better where the ground freezes. Hardneck garlic produces a central flower stalk called a scape later in the season. Many gardeners consider its flavor richer and more complex than softneck varieties. The bulbs usually contain fewer cloves, but the cloves tend to be a bit larger. Softneck garlic behaves a little differently. It doesn't produce a scape, usually forms more cloves per bulb, and often stores significantly longer after harvest. If you've ever seen braided garlic hanging in the kitchen, it is most certainly a softneck variety. Neither type is necessarily better than the other, but what you plant also depends on the climate that you're planting in. One of the biggest mistakes gardeners make happens before they even start planting. Many simple grab a bulb of garlic from the grocery store and stick it in the ground. While this can sometimes work, it's not always the best approach. Grocery store garlic may be treated to reduce sprouting, and many varieties aren't adapted to local growing conditions. Instead, look for seed garlic from a reputable garden center or nursery. When choosing bulbs, pay attention to size and health. Large, firm bulbs with no signs of mold, rot, or damage are always your best option. And here's an important tip. The size of the clove you plant is a direct impact of the size of the bulb you'll harvest. When it's time to separate the bulb, plant the largest cloves and save the smallest ones for cooking. Think of each clove as an investment. Bigger cloves generally have more stored energy, which will then produce stronger plants and bigger bulbs. One of the things that surprised most gardeners is that garlic is actually planted in the fall, not the spring. The goal is to have the cloves enough time to establish roots before winter arrives without encouraging too much leafy growth in the ground. In most regions, that means planting sometime between late September and November, depending on your local climate. After planting, the cloves begin to develop roots beneath the soil. Growth slows dramatically through the winter, but once temperatures begin to warm in spring, the plants take off. You can plant garlic in the spring if necessary, but fall planting will help you get a much larger bulb in the end. Garlic is not a crop that appreciates shade. The more sunlight it receives, the bigger, healthier bulbs you'll get. Aim for a location in your garden that receives at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight every day. Just as important as sunlight is drainage, garlic dislikes wet feet, and bulbs sitting in soggy soil are far more likely to rot. If your soil is heavy clay, adding compost before planting can dramatically improve drainage and soil structure. Raised beds is another great option because it allows for the moisture to move away from the bulb. If you want large garlic bulbs, soil preparation is one of the most important key steps you'll need to do. Garlic is a surprisingly heavy feeder and performs best in loose, fertile soil rich in organic matter. Before planting, work in several inches of well-rotted compost or manure. This not only improves fertility, but also helps create the loose soil structure the bulbs need to expand properly. A soil pH between 6 and 7 is generally ideal. The healthier your soil is before planting, the less you'll have to do later in the season. When you're ready to plant, simply separate the cloves from the main bulb. Leave the papery skins intact because they help protect the clove after planting. Each clove should be planted with the pointed end facing upward and the flat root plate facing downward. Place the cloves about 2 inches deep and roughly 4 to 6 inches apart. It's tempting to plant them closer together, especially in small gardens, but overcrowding often results in smaller bulbs at harvest time. Once planted, water thoroughly to help the soil settle around the bulb. One of the easiest ways to improve your garlic crop is to add mulch right after planting. A layer of straw, shredded leaves, and clean hay helps regulate soil temperature, conserve moisture, suppress weeds, and protect the developing roots throughout the winter. In spring, the garlic shoots will push right through the mulch and you'll spend far less time fighting weeds during the growing season. This is when the leaves begin acting like solar panels, capturing energy that will eventually be stored in the bulb underground. Consistent moisture becomes extremely important at this stage. A deep watering once or twice a week is usually far more beneficial than frequent shallow watering because it encourages stronger root development. One of the biggest factors affecting bulb size is nutrition. In early spring, garlic benefits from additional nitrogen because nitrogen fuels leaf growth. And remember, every healthy leaf contributes to a healthy bulb underground. The more healthy foliage the plant produces, the more energy it can store. Compost, fish emulsion, and a balanced organic fertilizer can all work well during this stage. As the season progresses and the bulbs begin forming underground, it is time to ease back on heavy nitrogen applications. Too much nitrogen late in season encourages leafy growth when the plant should be focusing on bulb development. And if you're finding these step-by-step gardening guides helpful, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button where we're producing content like this every week. If you're planting the Hardneck variety of garlic, you'll probably notice these little garlic scapes shooting up late season. This is called a scape. When the scape first appears, many gardeners leave it alone. But if your goal is larger bulb, it's usually best to remove it once it begins to curl. The reason is simple. The plant is trying to produce flowers and seed, which requires energy. Removing the scape redirects that energy back into bulb production. As an added bonus, garlic scapes are delicious. They have a mild garlic flavor and can be grilled, sautéed, and added to stir fries, or most famously, garlic scape pesto. And if you're inspired to grow garlic this year, be sure to check out our store or go to our website to get the best selection of garlic bulbs shipped to your home or pick them up right in store. These usually arrive in our store around fall. This is the moment where every gardener waits for, but it's also where a lot of mistakes can happen. Harvest too early and the bulbs won't have reached their full size. Harvest too late and the protective wrappers begin breaking down, causing the clothes to separate and reducing storage life. So how do you know when it's time? The answer is the leaves. As garlic matures, the lower leaves naturally begin turning yellow and brown. You're looking for a balance. Ideally, about 1/3 to 1/2 of the leaves should have browned, while the upper leaves remain green. A rule of thumb is to look for about 5 or 6 green leaves still on the plant. Each green leaf corresponds to one wrapper layer surrounding the bulb in the ground. Those wrapper layers are what protect the garlic during storage. If you're unsure, carefully dig up one test bulb. A mature bulb should have distinct, well-formed cloves and tight outer wrappers. If the cloves still look underdeveloped, give the remaining planting another week or two before checking in again. When harvest day comes, definitely avoid pulling directly on the plant. Instead, loosen the soil with a garden fork or shovel several inches away from the bulb. Gently lift the entire plant from the ground. Taking that extra little care will help prevent damage to the bulb and bruising, which can affect storage life. Freshly harvested garlic still contains a lot of moisture that needs to be dried out before it's time for storage. That's why curing is so important. Place the plants on a dry location with good airflow and protection from direct sunlight. In a garage, shed, greenhouse, or covered patio often works perfectly. Over the next 2 to 4 weeks, the leaves, the skins, and the bulb slowly start to dry out. As this happens, the bulb develops a better storage quality and stronger flavor. Once curing is complete, trim the roots and cut back the tops if desired. Store your garlic somewhere cool, dry, and well ventilated, and many varieties will keep for months. Growing garlic isn't about luck. It's about understanding the plant's natural cycles. And before you go, tell us in the comments below what your favorite type of garlic is to grow. I'd love to hear what's working in your garden.